My name is Liz Patton of Liz Patton Fitness, and I'm really excited that you're here. Today we are going to be talking about the difference between primary and secondary food. And this might be a new concept to you because honestly it was to me as well. I am currently going through the Institute of Integrative Nutrition Health Coach certification. And one of the things that we are talking about right now is primary and secondary food. Primary foods are the things that nourish us off of our plates. The things that nourish us that are not on our plates. The things that we aren't eating. And so often we focus on what we're eating and how that leads to weight loss or weight gain. And there are lots of people who know exactly what to be eating. Lots of us know what we should be eating, but we're not getting the results that we want because we're focusing on secondary food. Primary foods are those foods that nourish us off our plate. Those things, not those foods, but those things that nourish us off of our plates. So our relationships, our career, our exercise, and our spirituality. Those four things are called and considered primary foods. You have probably all met people who are strict vegans or like hardcore health nuts, but yet they're miserable. Like, do any of you know people like that? And the founder of the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, Joshua Rosenthal, he tells a really funny story. He owned a health food store, and he all the time had very health conscious people coming into his store who were miserable. So they maybe appeared healthy as far as what they were eating, but they had maybe a really poor marriage, or they were in a job that they hated, or they never exercised, or they didn't have a relationship with the Lord, and so they really weren't healthy, even though they were eating all the right things. And so then he left his health food store, and went to the movies one night and saw all these people eating popcorn and candy, and they were so happy. And he had just left the health food store with people who were miserable. And so he made the connection that, it's not just about the food that we eat that determines our health. And if we focus on nourishing our body with our primary foods first, then we're going to get the results that we want with our weight loss, because secondary foods come second. Light bulb moment over the weekend where my primary foods were not being met, and I was wanting to snack on foods that I don't normally snack on. I would love for you to just take a look at those four examples of primary food. Your career. Are you in a job that you don't really love? Is there anything that you could do about that? I'm sure, that if you thought really deeply about that, you could address that one aspect of your primary food. Relationships are the second. So career is first, relationships next. Could you improve your relationships? Are there people that you could reach out to and that could nourish you instead of secondary food? Exercise. Are you, doing some form of exercise, and not to beat your body up for stuff that you've eaten, but just to move your body so that it feels healthy and strong. And the last one is spirituality. Do you have a relationship with God that you can lean on Him? And that's what was my light bulb moment over the weekend when I was stressed out about whether Jason was going to be able to go on this mission trip or not. I should have my first instinct should have been to go to the Lord and just lay it at His feet and pray about it and let that be what filled me and soothed me, instead of wanting to bake another batch of, Then I had that moment over the weekend, and then this morning, this is how God is just so smart and just, so wise. I was reading the First 5 app. Proverbs 31 has a great app called the First 5. I know a lot of you probably already read that, but it was talking about the manna from heaven and how the Israelites were so used to relying on the Egyptians to feed them. And so they finally get freed from the Egyptians, and they are in the wilderness, and now they have to rely on God for their food. and he would give them just enough manna for that day. And as long as they looked to him, they were fed. And I was like, oh my word, like I just need to look to him. He's my primary food. And when I am focused on that and that is being met, then secondary food is going to come in second, and it's not going to be in an abundance because, right, he gives us just enough for today. If they collected too much manna because they wanted to hoard it, worms got in it and it went bad. And, you know, enough calories for today, just enough for today. I don't need to cram it all in. And so just to recap really quickly, as long as we are filling our bodies with our primary food first, which are our relationships with people here on earth, as well as our relationship with our Savior, our career, we're feeling fulfilled there, and we're exercising, then secondary food, it just kind of falls in place and it doesn't become our priority.